Hey guys, what's going on? Insidious Swede back again here for another YouTube video, and today I want to talk about why Vinland Saga is a masterpiece. Now, this phrase, in my opinion, the term masterpiece, gets thrown around a bit too often, and sometimes the word can lose its significance or its impact. And I always feel that the phrase should only be reserved for very special times and very specific cases. And in my opinion, throughout my entire manga reading career, I've only read 4 manga that I would deem a masterpiece. The first one is Vinland Saga. The second is Takahiko Inoue's Vagabond. The third is Naoki Urasawa's Monster. And the fourth is Kentaro Miura's Berserk. These 4 manga I consider to be the only 4 manga I have read that I would deem a masterpiece. Now, a great example of a manga that actually I had ranked higher than Berserk in my top 20 favorite manga of all time YouTube video was Hajime no Ippo. This is a manga that I love to death. From chapter 1, I fell in love with this character, with this world. Everything about Hajime no Ippo I love, and that's why I had it higher than Berserk. But the thing that I feel that this manga is missing, and that Berserk, Vinland Saga, Monster, and Vagabond all carry, is this special, unquantifiable brilliance. Now, that seems kind of vague, but at the same time, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's just something about these 4 series, something they have that other manga do not. Now, another great comparison I always bring up is art. Even though I'm very ignorant when it comes to artwork, does that not make the Mona Lisa a masterpiece? And I think sometimes that kind of logic can be applied to manga as well. Just because maybe you don't love a series as much as something else, for example, Berserk and Hajime no Ippo, that doesn't make Berserk not a masterpiece because you didn't like it as much as Hajime no Ippo. Great example for me. I wanted to add this into the video because I feel like sometimes the phrase masterpiece gets thrown around way too often, when in reality, it really should be reserved for special manga that simply are just a little bit better, something more, again, unquantifiable about them that makes them better than most manga. So now let's talk about why Vinland Saga is a masterpiece. There are many things I could point to, but the highlight that I think should be focused upon is the character dynamic between Thorfinn and, of course, our antagonist, Askeladd. I think the character relationship between these 2 characters is bar none the best thing about this manga. The way that Askeladd is almost not only the villain that killed Thorfinn's father, but also the kind of mentor in a way that raised Thorfinn to become the man that he ended up actually becoming by the end of the Cattell Farm arc. Of course, we all know what happened in Volume 1, fairly late here, is when they were able to capture Thorfinn on the boat, and Thors knew there was no way out, so he sacrificed his own life to Askeladd in order to let his son go free. As you can see here, the very, classic scene, in my opinion, with Thor's arrows through his body, and then there's Thorfinn down there as a kid clutching the pant legs of his father. This scene always gets to me, and kind of some personal stuff here. I lost my father, and so I can understand Thorfinn's anger. I understand what it's like not to have a father growing up, but I think in Thorfinn's case, the thing that's even worse is that he knew the man that killed him, and I think that kind of character relationship right here, you can see there just chanting, "I'll kill you," over and over to Askeladd. And I think another thing that always gets overlooked in the character relationship with Askeladd and Thorfinn is the kind of respect that I think Askeladd had for Thors. If you don't remember back in Volume 1 as well, there was a point, and even though he said he was joking around, that Askeladd asked Thors to actually lead his band of men. And I think he was, just out of pure respect, he offered him the right to lead because he understood the kind of man that Thors was. And so the reason why that I feel Thorfinn wasn't killed by Askeladd at that young age was because of the respect that he had for Thor's, and how in many ways Askeladd was jealous about the man that he was and how Askeladd was so much different. And that's the thing that I always point to when talking about a masterpiece like Vinland Saga. There are so many layers to a series like this, especially the character dynamics between not only Thorfinn but Thor's, Askeladd, even the stuff with Prince Canute in Volume 4, of course, when we see Askeladd essentially sacrifice his life for Prince Canute, giving him the ability to take over, the position as king over his father. And this kind of development destroys Thorfinn in many ways on the inside, because he then loses all reason to live. And that's, of course, again, referring back to the Kettel farm stuff, is when we see Thorfinn truly turn into an adult, into a man who understands what's right and what's wrong, and how to, carry himself, something that Thor's knew all along, and that he would hoped Thorfinn would carry on with him, that there was no need for fighting, there's no need for war, there's no need for slavery. That's what Thor did as well, laying down the sword, giving up his life so that his boy could move on. And I think this kind of stuff is really touching, really makes the manga for me, and why I consider Vinland Saga to be one of the 4 manga that I have read that I would deem a masterpiece. Now, I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of stuff here, so feel free to let me know what I've missed in this video, but that was the main thing that I think I wanted to point across, was the character dynamic between Thorfinn and Askeladd, and then of course I guess Thor's as well, and how his impact, even though it was short in the manga, how it had kind of an everlasting impact over the entire series. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I'm Insidious Swede, and until next time, take care.